Iran selects new supreme leader. Israel strikes symbol of Iranian power.
Trump threatens trade sanctions against NATO ally.
Discovering the village of ancient houses.
Hello, so good to see you again in today's news. I'm Hoàng Yên, and here we go, the first headline of the show. Iran has reportedly selected a new supreme leader to replace Grand Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed in a joint U.S.-Israeli airstrike. The selection comes as fighting between Iran, the United States, and Israel continues to escalate and spread across the Middle East.
Sources indicate that Iran's Assembly of Experts has voted to appoint Mojtaba Khamenei, the second son of the late supreme leader, as his successor. However, the information has not been confirmed by Iranian state media. Meanwhile, Israeli sources claim the Israel Defense Forces carried out an unprecedented strike on the headquarters of Iran's Assembly of Experts, where the leadership meeting was reportedly taking place. The attack is described as a direct blow to the symbolic heart of the Islamic Republic. While casualty figures remain unknown, the U.S. and Israel continue to expand airstrikes across Iran, prompting retaliatory strikes from Tehran. Clashes have spread to Lebanon as Hezbollah attacked Israel, leaving dozens dead, sparking urgent citizen evacuations while the United Nations warns of a worsening humanitarian crisis.
U.S. President Donald Trump has threatened food trade embargo to cut off all trade with Spain, a NATO ally, after Madrid refused to allow Washington to use its military bases for strikes on Iran.
Speaking at the White House during a meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Trump criticized Spain for failing to meet NATO defense spending commitments and refusing to let the U.S. military use its bases for missions linked to strikes on Iran. Trump said he had asked Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to consider cutting off trade agreements with Madrid. The U.S. president also criticized British Prime Minister Keir Starmer for not supporting the preemptive strike campaign. Although London allowed the U.S. to use British bases for defensive purposes. However, British Prime Minister insisted that the UK will not directly participate in airstrikes on Iranian territory.
Vietnamese Prime Minister Phát had just called for identifying and removing bottlenecks hindering the country's double-digit growth target for 2026 at the government's regular meeting held on March 4th, the first session after the Lunar New Year holiday.
The Prime Minister cautioned about rapidly evolving global uncertainties, particularly new U.S. tariff policies and the expanding Middle East conflict that affect transport, oil prices, LNG supplies and global supply chains. Domestically, socioeconomic performance in the first 2 months remained positive, but pressures on inflation, exchange rates and interest rates persist, while gold and silver prices fluctuate sharply. He urged ministries to clarify obstacles in the early months of the year, draw lessons and propose key solutions for March and beyond to achieve the double-digit growth target and other objectives.
Upcoming are some updated news.
Global oil prices have surged to multi-month highs as expanding conflict in the Middle East disrupts energy production and supplies. Brent crude jumped nearly 8% to above $83 per barrel, the highest level since July 2024. Since clashes between Iran, the U.S. and Israel erupted on February 28, crude prices have risen more than 15%. European gas prices have climbed 40%, the highest in over 3 years. In contrast, gold prices have fallen more than 6% amid a stronger U.S. dollar. Financial market sell-offs and concerns over further U.S. monetary tightening.
In the early days of the Year of the Horse 2026, travel activity has been vibrant nationwide. According to the Vietnam National Authority of Tourism, during the 9-day Lunar New Year holiday from February 14 to 22, the sector served an estimated 14 million visitors, up 12% year-on-year. Domestic tour rose about 20%, Outpacing outbound travel, travel products have been diversified, meeting rising demand for leisure, exploration and family reunions. The strong start lays groundwork for Vietnam's 2026 targets of welcoming 25 million international and 150 million domestic visitors.
After 4 years of construction, a 76-kilometer coastal road linking Thanh Hoa and Nghệ An provinces, with total investment exceeding 4.6 trillion Vietnamese dongs, is set to open in March 2026. The route will create a seamless connection between the key economic regions of both provinces. Beyond its economic impact, the road plays a vital role in ensuring national defense and security, facilitating troop mobility and rapid response in emergencies. Furthermore, it serves as a strategic landscape axis, poised to significantly boost coastal tourism development in Nghệ An.
When people think of Kim Linh Camille, they often think of the hometown of the late President Ho Chi Minh and the fragrant lotus season each May. However, beyond those familiar historical values, few realize that the area is also home to many centuries-old traditional houses.
Most of the ancient houses in Kim Linh are built from wood in traditional 3 or 5 compartment layouts, topped with classic yin-yang tiled roofs. Although some have been restored over time, their main wooden structures remain intact, serving as living witnesses to the history and development of the village.
In the past, due to frequent storms and floods, we had to raise the house and reinforce it to make it more solid. The house has been recognized by Nghệ An Department of Culture as one of the 5 ancient houses of Nam Dan.
In Hong Shan Hamlet, the family of Mr. Pham Dinh Hue is also preserving a nearly intact traditional house. This shows that conservation is not just the effort of a single family, but a shared commitment upheld by many lineages in the area.
I grew up hearing from my ancestors that the house was built around 1940-1941. From my grandparents' generation to ours, most of the tiles and wood have remained almost intact.
Just a few steps away, the family of Mr. Pham Van Mai continues to live in a house built in the 1940s.
Tourists and passers-by see that the house is long and ancient, so they come in to take a look. Some even ask to buy it. But we always tell our children and grandchildren to preserve it. Even if we renovate, we must keep the ancestral altar space.
Time has left its mark on faded walls, mossy brick floors and darkened wooden beams. Yet it is precisely these traces that create the quiet beauty and historical depth that local residents continue to preserve through generations.
The last story just ended our news today. Thank you so much for your attention.